Russia has expanded their bridgehead in northern Ukraine, but is their overall operational plan becoming clear? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's take a look. So this is kind of the biggest update to the map. You can see the city of Kharkiv here, and then you can see this morning we saw Russian forces at least contesting these villages here. You can see now that Russian forces, at least the map has updated to assess Russian control of these handful of small villages. Again, in total, around 1,700 people. But what's significant is that we've talked about how Russia is likely to struggle against some of these obstacles, particularly the Donets River here. But it seems like their solution is pretty straightforward. They're trying to link up their forces and control what I think is probably this between these two rivers here. And by controlling this large, tough to dislodge piece of territory, they'll at least have an army on the gates of Kharkiv. I think that's the theory that they're going with here, or the strategy they're going with. Because we've seen that Russia's tactics don't really conduce themselves towards fast lightning breakthroughs, and instead they have a much better ability to conduct kind of attrition-style warfare. And so by creating this broad-based front where they can implement the Soviet-style tactic that we've seen before of continuous pressure, continually carving off small pieces of the front line, they're going to make progress, but it won't be fast. It's likely going to happen, of course, per the Russian strategy, over a period of months. Now, you might also notice that this chunk of terrain that separates these two is actually pretty unforgiving, right? You can see it's very hilly, it's forested, and it overlooks, in Russian territory, a fairly sparse gully. And so this is going to be difficult for these Russian forces to take. They're going to have to take the town of Zelina, but then it's going to, if the Ukrainian forces can get reinforcements into this area, it's going to be very tough for Russia to dislodge them, simply because of the difficulty, right? The terrain looks too rough for armored forces, so it's going to have to be light infantry conducting these kind of assaults. Very difficult stuff. And this is sort of the thing that kind of continually makes me scratch my head about this Russian effort, is that a lot of this terrain is not particularly conducive to armored warfare, and Russia has struggled at times with kind of light infantry assaults. But this may be, they may be simply saying, listen, we want this to be a light infantry fight. We're okay with the fact that it's going to go much slower as long as we get to our final objective of Kharkiv, right? So the other $1 million question is, can Ukraine reinforce this area sufficiently to block this Russian offensive action? When you look over at the live UA map, you can see this has a much more rosy assessment of the situation, even though it acknowledges 14 hours ago, Russian Ministry of Defense citing that they hold 4 of the villages. Now that number, according at least to Twitter, is something like 15. So it likely includes some of these. In addition to these 3 here, you're looking at probably 4, 5, 6. They may even control 7 and 8, possibly even 9 if you add in Zelina. And then here you're looking at, if you're being generous, if you're saying contested is controlled, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and they may assess control over possibly maybe something like this Prilipka. So again, Russia trying to sort of muddy the battle space, given that this is a fast-breaking situation, but it's not necessarily clear what exactly they have control of. But what Ukraine needs to do, and what Zelensky's vowing to do, is, of course, deploy his reserves to the Kharkiv region, though he described it as a fierce battle, which usually means that it's tough for Ukrainian forces. They did surge army reinforcements to the region, But again, you have to remember these reinforcements, right? Ukraine's reserve force was literally just deployed containing this breakthrough in Ultratina, and now it's being redeployed to the north to contain this outbreak. So you see how Ukrainian reinforcements are having such a hard time of this. Now, if you appreciate my analysis and you want to support the channel, right, and you want to see some of the footage from this fighting, that's going to be dropping Tuesday on combatvetnews.com. It's just for members. Twice a week, I get the viral combat footage from the front lines, and we do a deep dive analysis to see tactics and locations and units, and we try to get a real deep understanding of how the fight is going. So if you want to support the channel and get access to that, any one of these tiers will get it for you, but the lieutenant tier and the colonel tier folks, I appreciate you guys the most. And that's why I shout you out at the end of the videos. So again, I really appreciate you guys. Hit like on the video, tell the YouTube algorithm that I'm doing good analysis here, and I'll see you guys in the morning with another update. Cheers.